Hello everyone, my name is Barbara and I would like to welcome you all to our latest Novedge webinar episode. This week, getting started with Bluebeam Revu 2015.5. This webinar will cover the basics of Bluebeam Revu, Bluebeam's PDF-based solution for digitizing workflows, as well as the key features from the latest release. Presenting the webinar today is Meredith Jung, an application specialist at Bluebeam Software, where she advises a variety of companies and organizations on best practices for streamlining their workflows with Revu. Before we get going, here's an overview of what we do at Novedge. Novedge is one of the largest online stores for design software. We offer a huge assortment of software solutions that cater to virtually every designer's needs. Put us to the test and come visit our webpage at novedge.com. And for more daily software news and limited time promotions, pay a visit to the Novedge blog and follow us on Facebook, Google+, and Twitter. Coming up next week, Thinking Particles 6.2, Powerful Gas Smoke and Compressible Fluids Effects. In this webinar, Edwin Brown will touch on what are the latest additional features with the Thinking Particles 6.2 new release update. Last but not least, today's webinar is free and is being recorded live. So if you want to watch this or any webinar episode on our collection, just head on over to Novedge's YouTube or Vimeo channels. And without further ado, I'm gonna let Meredith do the demoing and the talking. I'm sure she has a lot to say. Okay. We should be seeing Meredith's screen very soon.
Perfect. Hopefully everyone can see my screen now.
We sure can. Take it away, Meredith.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Barbara. As Barbara mentioned, my name is Meredith Jung. I am an application specialist here at Bluebeam Software, and I am so happy to be with you guys today to talk about Revu 2015 and the newest release, Revu 2015.5, which came out in August. And actually, we just had a point release yesterday on Revu 2015.6, which has a couple other updates on the Windows 10 side. So we'll try and include that as well. I'm not as familiar with the 0.6 portion of that, but we'll definitely touch on the features of Revu 2015 and 2015.5. Before we get into that, though, I do want to give you guys a brief introduction to Bluebeam as a company, Revu our software solution, and sort of the core functionality that we're working with. Now, Bluebeam Revu and Bluebeam as a company are really focused on the life of a project and helping to facilitate digital collaboration. Everybody in terms of projects often has different products they're working in, whether you're talking on the architecture team, the engineering teams, consultants, contractors. We've all got different forms of software. The goal with Revu is to give you a piece of software that helps to facilitate collaboration and communication throughout the life of your project with everybody who's involved, regardless of what technology they're using. And we do that with PDF, an ISO standard file format, which means that once a PDF is created in Revu or another program, it can be viewed in any PDF software. So it's a very versatile file. It's also an archivable file format, so a proper replacement for paper. Now we're looking through the process, so as we talk today, we'll talk about different features that might impact design reviews, bids and estimates, the work you're doing in the field or RFIs and submittals, punch and back check, and even the stuff that your owner does as you finish up your projects with facilities management down the line. So the goal is to have a single set of documents that can work for everybody. Now the great thing about Bluebeam Revu is using the productivity tools in the software, we've allowed our customers to reduce their paper usage by more than 85%, speed up their project communication by 60%, and track their projects 40% faster. These are all stats from case studies from our customers, and we really are out there. Our goal is to help you do what you do better, and we are enabling the world's largest buildings to open their doors faster. Okay. Now the goal is to go paperless, and we will talk about today some tablet enhancements and some mobile enhancements, as well as enhancements to our desktop software, which is what I'll be showing you guys today. And to get started, we will go over this core functionality first. So we're going to talk through, just give you a brief introduction to the interface, all of the industry standard markups you have there. A tool that you guys may not realize exists in the software, the tool chest, we'll go into a bit. How do you create symbol libraries and really access your comments all customized with a single click. We'll then talk about how you track this information and then how you take this all up into the cloud for collaboration. Once we're done, we'll get into some new features that I think you guys will find really useful in your day-to-day workflows. With that, let's get out of slides, because slides are the boring part of any presentation, and let's jump right into Revu. Now, for those of you who aren't as familiar with Revu, you'll notice that Revu has a pretty simple setup. We've got our menus at the top, and when we click on these various menus, the command bar changes with a different set of commands we can choose. So we could do some content work, we can do some page manipulation, all here from the menus. We can also access a number of these tools from toolbars, which you'll see across the top and on the side, or from panels. I've got a panel on the right, on the bottom, and on the left. Okay? Now, everything you see here in the software is completely customizable. When we talk about little things to help you do what you do better, sometimes that might be allowing you to turn on a toolbar with the tools you need every day. So, for example, if I turn on this digital signature toolbar, now I have the tools I need to be signing off on submittals on a regular basis, or adding my signatures of approval once I'm done reviewing an RFI. Okay? So, digital signature tools. We can turn on and off a variety of tools, or we can add tools to existing toolbars or create new ones. Once we've got this set up the way we like, so customized the view here in terms of the toolbars, they can be moved around if you want, so we could put this on another bar or move it towards the front. Once that customization is done, we can actually save this as what's called a profile. So I can come down here. I can save it right over the built-in construction profile here, or I could even create a new one, just add a new one, and then export it to the team. So everybody can be working with a standardized set of tools. Now, in addition to making things easy to access in terms of finding the tools that you need and accessing additional features in the side panels with tab access up here, we also make it really easy to access the files you need. So in tab access, I'm going to pick this feature called file access. And what you'll see is that I've got some pinned folders and categories. These allow me to take documents that may be 4 or 5 folder structures deep, as you can see as I hover over these. They're down quite a bit into the folder structures, and now I can access them with a single click. Okay. So just more little things to help you do what you do better. Now, when you're navigating through documents, Revu acts the way you expect it to in an 8.5 by 11-inch document. But as we get to these large format documents here, like this construction plan, Revu is smart enough to know that you want the software to act more like a CAD program than an Office program. So as I scroll on my scroll wheel, watch over the stairs. Okay, I scroll up and it zooms right in, and then it's just a click to pan. So real simple to navigate around the document and get to the information that you need, just like you're used to in your CAD program. Now, the great thing about this screen, along with this tab navigation, is the ability to split it up to 16 times. We can also pull up additional documents. We could open a web tab, so we could be browsing for building codes while we're just up here in the software. Okay, we'll give that web tab a moment. Looks like my internet connection is not as fast as I thought it was. We could pull up some building codes here if we wanted to, right from Google. Or one of the great things that we can do is we can actually be, for example, taking a look at 2 different revisions. So if I hit the sync button down here on the bottom, what I can actually do is I can sync the view between the left and the right. So as I pan on the left, the view on the right changes. Now, the minute I turn off that sync button, when I pan on the left, I can pan and zoom separately on the right. Okay? So I could be looking at 2 different parts of the same drawing, or I could be looking at the exact same stairwell on 2 different floors, 2 different revisions, taking a look at what's going on there. Okay. As a quick aside, while we're speaking of tools for doing comparisons, Bluebeam Revu does have several comparison tools built in. document comparison, I've got compare documents and overlay pages. Now overlay pages works just like a light table. You pick a couple of plans, for example, your mechanical, electrical, and plumbing plans, and you go ahead. They each get a different color. They're laid right over each other as layers, and you can do coordinations that way. Compare documents is my favorite because it goes through and automatically clouds all the changes between two revisions. So let me just go ahead. I'm going to pick my originals here. Okay. And then I'm going to come through and pick my revision, click OK, and let Review go through and do that comparison. Now you'll notice it's clouded anywhere that there's a difference. Good news is that the architect did pick up on this difference, already clouded it in the Revit model when it printed out to PDF. That cloud came through. However, it also noticed that there were some changes here within the title block. Okay, things that we normally wouldn't cloud, but nice to check up on and catch just in case you missed it going through. Okay. So just some cool tools there, and we'll talk a little more about compare documents as we get into the new features with Review 2015, because that process has been made even easier. So, good to know. Let's move on now and let's talk about the work that you guys do day to day with a PDF, and that is commenting on PDFs. So we've talked about getting through, getting your documents open, finding the tools you need, and all the markup tools that you need are going to be available under markup. They'll be available, most of them, here on the right side in your construction profile because we have those tools turned on in the toolbar. And then they all also have keyboard shortcuts. So you'll notice we've got a variety of letters here. So if I just wanted to throw a cloud on the page, I'd just type a C, drop a cloud in. Just like you're used to in your drafting programs, real easy to do. Same thing, I could also just pick my call out here. Needs to have double, or maybe a broken electrical panel, or whatever the issue is. All of the standard markups you're looking for, whether they're text markups, you're looking to put lines, for example, pens and highlighters. The highlighter is actually smart enough that it'll highlight your text for you or draw freeform in open space. You've got a variety of line tools, including an arc tool, so you can actually make some curved lines. Come through and put any shapes you want on the page, or even just drop an image in. Okay, so if I come here into my images, maybe the issue was an electrical panel. That issue, the electrical panel, could actually be thrown right onto the page. So there's that electrical panel issue right there. Okay. Real easy to communicate the information that you need on your documents with Review. And again, with just a couple of clicks, whether that's your keyboard shortcuts, coming up to the top in the menu bar, or using it from a toolbar here. Now, one of the best things about all of these markups is that they can be customized, right? When we're working on a project team, let's say there's 10 of us who are going to be reviewing this document, it's really important to be able to tell who placed those comments on the page. Now, customization can be done one comment at a time, or it can be done on a whole batch of markups at once. So I've gone ahead and selected all of my markups. I'm going to come to the right here in what's called the Properties panel, and the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to assign a subject. So let's say that I'm going through and I'm the electrical engineer, so we'll just make that subject electrical. Okay? I can then come through and I can assign colors. I'm a little partial to blue. You'll probably notice this real quick. Throw a fill color on there. We can highlight it so that all of the background information shows through, or even better, we can also change that fill opacity down there. So real easy to see what's behind this markup here. We can also change any of the font information we want. So maybe we can make that sort of a fun font, change that color as well to blue, and really build this out exactly the way that we want to. Okay. Once we've got those all set up, there's no need to recreate the wheel or change our default. So if we're working on multiple projects, and maybe one project wants us to be working in blue, another wants us to be working in green, we can actually have different sets of tools for that. And the way that we do those different sets of tools is using the tool chest. So I'm going to come back up into tab access here. This is my favorite way to get to all the tools that I need in the side panels. I'm going to open up my tool chest. Now what you're going to notice in the tool sets is we've got a couple of tool sets already built out. And up top here, we've got some recent tools as well. Now this recent tools tracks everything that you've placed on PDFs in this last session. When you close it out, all of these disappear, but you can easily drag and drop them into new tool sets. And you can use them either as exact copies. So here's an exact copy of that comment that I placed, or with a double click, place a brand new comment on here. So broken electrical panel, see image. Okay. It's the exact same properties, right? We've got those exact same colors of blue. And if we were to look into this properties panel, it's got that exact same subject of electrical to help us track it, but it's a completely different comment, right? Making it really easy to start adding more information to the page. Okay, and again, to save that, I just drag and drop it. I can take it to my tools, and I get a keyboard shortcut for it, or maybe I just take it down into one of these existing tool sets. Maybe drop this in my cursed tool set. Real quick and easy to add your tools there. And once you've got your tool set built the way you want, you can go ahead and export that to everybody on the team. Now, one of the things that I mentioned is that this is great for symbol libraries. I brought that up in the beginning of the presentation. And I want to give you a quick peek at how you would create your own symbol libraries based on the information already on your page. So let's say, for example, that you're a plumber, or that you work with plumbing in various sorts. And what you're looking to do here is to get a copy of this sink here, because you actually need to add sinks into the cafeteria. You can actually come up to Edit, Snapshot, and make a copy of that sink real quick and easy. All right, click paste it onto the page. So there's that sink. And you can actually change the color of it so that people know, for example, that this sink is not part of the original design. Okay, so there's that red sink. Go ahead and delete that. You'll notice that red sink now showed up in recent tools. So I can now come on over here into the cafeteria, zoom right in, and throw that red sink on the wall. And again, if I had a custom cloud, custom callouts, things of that sort, easily place the comment that says, please add a sink here in the cafeteria. Real easy to use all of the tools that you need, and real easy to place markups, customize markups, and then, of course, reuse those markups whenever you need them. Now, once you've got your markups on your page, I'm just going to jump back out to full screen mode here. So let's go ahead and jump back out to a full page. Okay. Once you've got your markups on the page, the next question becomes, what do you do with them? Now, in most PDF software, okay, you've got these comments on the page. You still have to take notes, just like you would on paper. There's no tracking of who said what, when they said it, all of that information. And there's no way to easily get all of this information into a single PDF from multiple reviews. Again, we're talking right now about a construction review, a design review, a plan review of some sort. And during the review process, there's usually several of us, right, working on the document. Well, the great news is that all of the information on this page is being tracked. Okay, in what's called the markups list, which is almost always available here in the bottom panel. Now, the markups list is great because it tracks things like subjects, page numbers, authors, the dates and times they were placed. You can set statuses, so we can come through, accept, reject, cancel. All the status is stacked with a name, date, and timestamp for complete accountability. Okay, and you can turn on and off any variety of built-in columns. So, for example, if you're an estimator, you're doing lots of bids, you could turn on and off various measurement tools. Same thing, if you wanted to see additional information, for example, if you're in a 3D PDF and you want to see what view that comment is in, you could turn on 3D views. Okay, so you have a variety of options here. All of this, again, customizable to see what you're looking for. Okay, and you can even add your own columns. So, for example, adding in a custom column for responsibility. Right? Especially if we're doing a design review, it's good to always go ahead and assign jobs, right? Maybe you've got several different drafters who are going to be going through and fixing the design. You can go ahead and add them to this list. So I'm going to add myself. I'm going to go ahead and add my colleague, Eric, as well. Okay. And that way we can assign ourselves work and create a task list here. And you can really do custom columns for pretty much anything, task choice. You can do formulas straight inside the software here. So lots of different options there. Okay, and you'll notice once I hit OK, that custom column now shows up here. I can move it in a little closer to the front to have it exactly where I need. Now I mentioned we're looking at a review process here, and review processes involve multiple people. The great thing with review and this markup list is that you can import other people's comments from other PDFs. So we can use the import button here, come into our demo files, and just go ahead and select the comments we need and drop them all onto this PDF. We'll give the software just a second to pull those all through, and there it goes. It knows that we don't need the content again. It's just taking those markups. Okay. And it's real easy with that color coding to see which comments are mechanical, electrical, and plumbing here. Okay. That color coding even shows up in a name block up top. So, real easy to get through the document. And the sorting and filtering capabilities really come into play here. So I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to sort by subject. You'll notice that because we set the subjects for electrical, mechanical, and plumbing, that they all pop up like that. And now I'm going to hit the filter button. And I'm going to filter by that subject as well so that we're only seeing mechanical comments. Now you'll notice everything that is not a mechanical comment just grayed out on the screen. And it disappeared from the markups list. Okay? So it makes it real easy to work with just the information you need. We can then go through, assign a couple responsibilities, some for me, some for Eric. Then maybe resort by that responsibility column and run a summary for our task list. Now that could be done in paper, Excel, or my favorite way, not printing to paper, but going to a PDF summary. Because we can append it to the current PDF, create hyperlinks, and make it really easy for people to find the information they need. So let's call this a task list. Click OK, let review generate that PDF summary. It's going to put a nice preview of each of the markups. And for example, if Eric had a question as to what wall the return should be located along, or what wall this question is in reference to, all he has to do is click on that hyperlinked image. And it doesn't matter if Eric has review, if he's got another PDF software, it will work. Those hyperlinks are built out, they'll work, they'll get him right back to this information. Now as we talk about reviews, and just using this as a sample workflow for the time being, but as we talk about new features, we'll talk about other parts of the project lifecycle together. But as we're talking about reviews, we talked about having multiple people comment in PDF. And it's one thing to have multiple people comment on PDFs and then compile all their comments together. But it still requires a meeting in person, and it's a bit of a clunky way to do this work, right? We're just replicating a paper workflow. Built into Bluebeam Revu is a tool called Bluebeam Studio. Now, Bluebeam Studio allows us to take this work that we're typically doing one by one on our own time and put it up into the cloud so that we can all be working with the same set of information. We're all working on the most current copies of the documents. We're all, working together to get things done faster. Now, Bluebeam Studio has two halves. The one we're going to focus on for a little bit is Studio Sessions, which is document-based online collaboration. When we're talking about review processes, Sessions is the real-time live version of that. Everybody comes in, reviews the same document at the same time. We can see their markups pop up instantaneously and really work together that way. Studio Projects is a light document management system in the cloud, and I will very briefly touch on it just to show you the brief look at the capabilities there. But Studio Sessions really is where we're going to see the biggest time savings on our projects. Studio Projects is where we're really going to be able to have a single repository that can be accessed in the field as we talk about field tools. Okay. So let's go ahead. I'm going to open Studio. Now Studio is always docked up top for easy access. And what you'll notice right now is that I am in a Studio project. If I go home, you'll see I've got Studio Sessions and Studio Projects. So just jumping into my project, you'll notice that I've got a variety of different documents here. I've got JPEGs, I've got Excel sheets. Down here I've got some Word docs here in our specifications folder. Okay. Studio Project stores all of your project files. If you've got Revit files you're working on, or you're working in another design program, you can upload those files here. Any file that is related to your project could be stored in projects. It's free storage and it's unlimited. So you get unlimited free storage in the cloud with Studio Projects, and this comes free with every copy of Revu that you buy, so it's included. Now, one of the things that you'll notice here is I've got a variety of different documents, and this E101 document actually has some markups on it. Okay, so it looks like some markups have been added. Maybe we wanted to see what the previous revision of this document looked like, right? Because this is the current copy on the server. We could right-click on it, go ahead and come into the revision history, and actually see who did those revisions, and even open a previous revision or restore it as the current project copy. So if I open that, you'll notice that we can then split our screen and see the difference, right, between the work that's been done since we last checked out this file and the original file, that previous revision there. Okay. Now, Studio Projects works on a checkout and check-in basis. So with a right-click, I can check out a file. Add additional comments here, so maybe I want to use my new electrical comment I just created earlier and say panel added, right? Throw that in there. Maybe I need to put that exact same comment over here. Good thing we've got it here in the recent tools, panel added. Real quick and easy, and then I can right click, check that back in. Added to the design. Quick and easy, right? So this is a checkout, check-in process. But let's say that you have some documents that actually need to get reviewed. So for example, I've got my construction plans, A201 through A204. We've actually put these together into a studio session so that all of the teams that need to be reviewing them can review them at once. So I'm going to go ahead, I'm actually going to right click here, and I'm going to join the session for this construction plan review. I'm just going to open up A201 here. Now what you're going to notice is I've got a couple attendees. So my colleagues Nick and Eric are in here, and some of them are having a little fun with the markups, putting together some group markups to make hearts or throwing their pictures on the page. Well, hello, Eric. But the rest of these comments here are also on the page. Now the great thing about this is that these comments are all showing up in real time. So Eric just added a text box at 11:27 a.m. that says hi. There we go. I can click on it here in our record, which tracks everything that's going on in this studio session, and jump right to it. Okay. Now studio sessions, again, we're talking about real-time work. You'll notice that that hi that Eric placed isn't editable by me. I'm the administrator here. I control this studio session, and yet the only person who can edit Eric's comment is Eric. So Eric has complete accountability within here. Another thing you've probably noticed as we've been staring at the screen here is this notifications tab. My colleague Nick alerted me to a comment that he placed on the page, and when I click on it, it jumps me right to that comment. Now again, my team has lots of fun looking at Pac-Mans and various other things here, but in a real life situation, you really are talking about comments that maybe you needed to address. You are the only person with the answer to the question, and they could alert you to that question on the page, and you can provide your answer. Now, I did talk about the fact that this is a great way to review documents. This is also great for project closeout and back check, right? So if you think about it, as you're doing your punch and back check processes, it's really nice to have the person in the field updating the design at the same time that the person in the mobile trailer can see it, right? So if those updates are going in, while they're in the field and they go on live straight up to the cloud, then the person who's in the office can automatically start assigning those changes to other team members. Okay? So one of the great things here, though, is that for field work, let's say that we lose our internet connection. No problem. Okay? So we can still be marking up this document. I'm just going to throw another cloud on the page real quick. Here. Okay. It sits here in the pending, waiting to go up to the cloud. As soon as we're reconnected, it'll go ahead and push that up to the cloud and add it into our record. Now, the final thing I want to mention real quick here about studio sessions is that all of the activity that's done in a studio session is tracked. Now, you've seen it in the record. It's also being tracked in the markups list. And just like we could with the markups list where we create these custom summaries, we can actually take this record of all the activity that's been done, who came, who left, what documents were added, etc., and actually put that into a report. So I'm just going to go ahead and drag this out just a little, click the reporting button here, and create what's called a PDF package report. Okay? So this is going to take a snapshot of these documents as they are at this moment, and all the activity that's been done. I'm going to save it to my desktop here. And it's going to go through, and it's just going to take everything, essentially our meeting notes for us. Okay? So it's going to create a report of all of that activity, which you'll see here in the report. Here's all the activity. It's also got all of our documents. And when I click on activity, so for example, Nick added a comment here, it'll jump me right to Nick's comment on the page. Okay? So all hyperlinked out. Again, this PDF package can be sent out to anyone on the project, and they'll be able to open it regardless of what PDF technology they have. Okay? So as long as they've got PDF software, they can work with all of these documents. It's a great tool for them. Okay? So let's go. We've done the basics. That's the core functionality in the software. We talked about it a lot from the design review process, but these are all tools that could easily be used at any point in the process, whether you're reviewing submittals. A lot of our customers do real-time collaboration for submittal reviews, whether you're signing off on RFIs or answering, updating project files, and doing a variety of other workflows. Okay. Right now, though, I want to move out of the core functionality. I want to talk specifically about some of the new features in Review 2015. Okay. Now I want to pull back up that project lifecycle because we really want to look at a lot of these features and a lot of the enhancements that Bluebeam makes are looked at in terms of how can we make it easier for you to do work on your projects. And right off the bat, to start it all, we look at markup tools. It talks about how commenting is really a common thing that you're going to do day to day. Okay, regardless of what industry you're in, regardless of what your role is, you're going to have to be commenting on documents. And one of the most common ones right off the bat is clouds and callouts. Now you saw me manually place them separately. Well, let's go ahead and take a new tool. The markup tool here is Cloud Plus. And all I have to do is throw my cloud on, drag my callout out, and now RFI 100 open. Hey, we've got an RFI related to this stairwell. And let's turn off that filter so that we can see it. Okay. So there we go. I've got a cloud call. It's a single markup. And actually, if I come down into the markups list, we're going to sort by subject again. Okay. You're going to see this Cloud Plus that I placed. It's a single markup that contains all of that information. So declutters the page, also easier to place. You can customize it all at once. And best of all, you can go ahead and hyperlink it real quickly. So for example, you could edit the action here and actually hyperlink it out to that RFI. So come through here, find my RFIs. Okay. And that's the wrong RFI folder. We'll try this one more time. Here we go. There we go, my RFIs. So open RFI 100, pull that up, click OK, and that document's now linked. and it's just a single link. It's not like you've had to link an entire portion of the page. That link is tied directly to that callout, and a click on it opens RFI 100. So real easy now to communicate that information. We can do it for reviews, we can do it for RFIs and things of that sort. Okay. Now another great tool that was introduced here with Review 2015 that's really helpful if you're trying to communicate the size, something that's a specific size on your page is the sketch tools. Now sketch tools can be used to create polygons, rectangles, ellipses, and polylines. And just to give you a feel on how that works, I'm just going to go ahead and create a rectangle. Let's say that we want to add a 4 foot by 8 foot stage here. Okay, so there's the width, and then let's do our height here, 8 feet, 0 inches. Okay, we can rotate that stage if we wanted to, or just click OK. And now we've got a stage to scale here in the space. Maybe we want to move it right up against the back wall. Real easy to do. And then we can open up the Properties panel here and go ahead and turn on a caption, show all of the measurements if we wanted to, the center of it, and label it Add Stage. Right. So real easy now to communicate that information on the page, and that's all done to the scale that you've calibrated. So here in your measurements, you could calibrate this document based on any of the known measurements. I know it's already to scale, but I could easily, actually it's not to scale clearly, but I could easily go through and calibrate it, and then that would sketch right to the scale that's stored in the page. Okay. So just a couple really quick markup tools that make it a lot easier to do what you do, right? Another great one that was added is the ability to do dynamic scaling of tool sets. Okay? So I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to open up again here in my file access a document that has 2 different scales, right? So we've got our initial scale. This is an 1/8 inch equals a foot. Okay? And here on the right, I've actually got a separate scale of a 1/4 inch equals a foot for a blow up of that electrical room. Let's say that the switchboard's in the electrical room, because it is, and you need to add the switchboard in. Now, typically, what you would have had to do in the past, you would have created your symbol of the switchboard, which would have been just the right size, or switch box. That switch box would have been just the right size for this room. But, and I'm just going to turn off dynamic toolset scaling to show you this, okay? It's totally the wrong size in the other electrical room. So you would place it right, and then you would blow it up, and you would hope you got it the right size. Is that the right scale? Okay. No more, no more. Dynamic toolset scaling, you can go ahead and set a scale. So you can come through, set your scale for the tool. So all of these tools I know were created at an 1/8 inch equals a foot because they look correct at an 1/8 inch equals a foot. Okay. Now, knowing that it looks correct at an 1/8 inch equals a foot, when I move it into this section that's a 1/4 inch equals a foot, you'll notice that it automatically resizes to the correct size. Again, just little tools to help you do what you do better. Okay? So we talked a bit about scaling things and markup tool enhancements for a lot of the commenting that you're doing day to day. Another set of huge enhancements we've done is on the document management side. Okay? So let's come up into File. We're going to come into this Batch section. Now, Batch has a variety of functions that you can perform across multiple documents at once. For those of you who are familiar with Review 12, you're probably familiar with Batch Link, which allows you to hyperlink out your document sets with just a couple of clicks. To enhance on those features, we've taken that functionality in Batch Link, where it automatically recognizes page names and things of that sort, and used it to make it easier to compare multiple documents and to slip sheet revisions, things that, again, we're doing on a pretty regular basis. I'm going to start with compare documents real quick just to show you how that works. Now, you saw me compare 2 documents earlier. I'm going to go ahead and choose a folder of documents here to compare now. So I'm going to take my originals. I'm going to go ahead and add in a folder of revisions here. Perfect. And I'm going to let Review match up these pages automatically. Now I can choose how to match the pages if I know that I need to select a page region to match them up, or that it should be a page label or even a manual correlation. I can. I know that the file name and page index for these documents is good, so I'm just going to go with those and hit match and let Revu do all of the work. Now you saw how fast it pulled out those results, and you'll notice here's our current pages, and here, as I pull that out, is our revisions. They all say revision 1. They're all matched up, A201 to A201, A401 to A401. And then I'm given a choice of where do I want to put my compared documents. So I'm going to come back in here. Again, once again, just choose my folders here and click OK. I'm just going to run through and find all of the changes between these documents. So a real quick comparison happens, and Revu just goes through just like it did earlier, clouding all of the differences and making a new differences file that shows all of those clouded changes. Now the best part about this is it gives us a summary. It lets us know what's been matched. So maybe if I was comparing 5 revisions to a 35-page document set, it would say that I have 5 compared pages, and it would say it has 30 unmatched pages because those 30 pages in that single page set didn't match any of the revisions. I can also create a report for the batch summary. So throw that into my documents folder, click OK, and here's that report. It's all hyperlinked out again. So you could upload this report to your document management system, whether you're using Studio Projects, network folder location, and everyone would be able to access. Again, these are all relative hyperlinks, so you'd want to make sure you upload the folder structure as well, and everyone can now access these revision documents. Okay, and you'll notice it clouded that revision there. So real quick and easy to compare a lot of documents. This can be done on a one-to-one with single-page files. It can be done a bunch of revisions to a multi-page document set. So you have lots of options there. Now another big time saver in terms of just organizing documents, which is work we do throughout the project lifecycle, is to come through and do batch slip sheet. Another big time saver with the new software. So once again, I'm going to take a folder of files. I've got my batch slip sheeting files here, my originals. I'm going to take all of my revisions as well. Okay. Let Revu auto match them. Again, everything's lined up correctly. And then what I can do now is I can choose, am I going to insert the revised pages before the current pages, or am I just going to replace the current pages? Now, replacing the current pages is a pretty common workflow. A lot of you do that already with Revu using the replace pages functionality. If we go ahead and insert revised pages before current pages, we now stamp the current pages superseded, have a nice history, track that information there, okay? And we can copy all of our markups over, which we could do either way, okay? So we'll just let this run as well. Let it go ahead, copy all those markups over, slip sheet that information, and place the new document below the original with that superseded stamp on it. Now, if you think about this, when you were doing this manually, right, you do it one document at a time. You've now done 5 at once in just a couple of seconds. You can once again create that batch summary report. And now what you can go ahead and do is select your document. So I'm going to go ahead and open what's called the thumbnails tab just so that you can see what's going on here. What you'll notice now is that we have our original document, which is superseded. And on top of that original page is the new page. All of the markups have been transferred over. So you see all the markups. There's no superseded stamp on it, and it's got that new prop dish room up there. So as we jump back and forth, everything came over between the two documents, all the markups, even the hyperlinks. So this is hyperlinked to an A300 document. We can go ahead and click that hyperlink. It would open that document. Much easier way to slip sheet when you have new revisions issued. Now those were all features that came out in February with Revu 2015. In August, we had several new features come out with Revu 2015.5 that I do want to point out to you. The first is that we now have the plugins for Revit 2016 and Navisworks 2016. So in addition to being able to easily create PDFs from the most current versions of AutoCAD, SolidWorks, and SketchUp Pro, you can also do that now from the most current versions of Revit and Navisworks. Another big enhancement with Revu 2015.5 is the introduction of a new tablet mode. So I'm going to come into my view. I'm going to pick my profiles. I'm going to select my tablet profile. Now, if I was on a Surface Pro 3 today, what you'd be able to see is how well this new tablet mode is optimized for that Surface Pro 3. We actually worked with the Surface Pro team up at Microsoft to make sure that we could really take advantage of the pinch to zoom functionality and the stylus with the Surface Pro. So now what you can be doing is you can be panning around your document with your fingers using pinch to zoom and marking up at the same time using your stylus, right? So you can have both hands doing things, or you can do it with a single hand. You don't have to put down your stylus to get around the document or choose another tool. You can keep your markup selected and continue to navigate around the document. So a really great option there. And this new tablet mode, as you've noticed, really maximizes the screen real estate. So real easy to access the features you need in the field and to come through and click on them. Now, for those of you guys who are using Revu for iPad, Revu for iPad has had several updates over the past year. The most recent set of updates actually makes it easier to use the document manager in Revu for iPad. So much easier to access the documents you need. With the introduction of Revu 2015 in February, the Revu iPad app also got an update to its Studio Go functionality, which makes it even faster to access PDFs on iPads using Studio. So for those of you who are storing your documents in Studio Projects or Studio Sessions and accessing them in the field with an iPad, that's also been enhanced this year. Now the final thing that I do want to mention to you guys, not something so much I can show because I don't have a lot of open type fonts on my computer, but for those of you who have been using your favorite open type fonts in AutoCAD, Revit, Navisworks, whichever design program you have, Bluebeam now supports open type fonts in the same way that it supports true type fonts. So just to show you that with the true type fonts, come back in, pick my construction document we looked at earlier, or sorry, my concrete spec we looked at earlier. This is a true type font in Revu. With true type fonts, you can copy and paste select information. You can search for it really easily, and best of all, you can come through in the edit your text up here. Okay. Right? So just add some extra text there, click escape, and you've edited the text in the document. You can now do all of that functionality with your documents that have open type fonts. So Revu now supports all of those open type fonts and will create editable, selectable, searchable PDFs using the open type fonts that we know a lot of you guys are using in your design. With that, I do want to make sure we leave plenty of time for the Q&A session here. So I'm going to go ahead and wrap it up and toss this back over to Barbara.
Oh, wow, Meredith, what a vibrant presentation and great teamwork with Eric backstage. Cool. Great picture. Anyway, yes, we've had a few questions and Eric did a great job answering, but I want to mention a couple of them since they came up a few times. First of all, there's a lot of interest in Bluebeam Revu for Mac. So I know you're working on it, and but it's pressing.
We're actually in beta on that.
Okay, great. So you have it live from a Novedge webinar. So hang on, and hopefully soon we'll get our hands on Revu for Mac. And then something about 3D PDFs.
Yeah, let me actually pull up a 3D PDF in Revu. I see that there are quite a few questions about 3D PDFs in here. And I want to go ahead and show something off to you. Now I'm going to take a real simple PDF here. Now this was created right out of Revit. Our plugins for Revit, Navisworks, and SketchUp Pro will allow you to create 3D PDFs. And 3D PDFs in Revu are a pretty powerful tool. We can go ahead and easily navigate through this PDF. We can spin our models, really rotate around and see exactly what we need to see, zoom in and out, and best of all the annotation tools that you've seen can be used on this PDF. So I can go ahead, come up into my markup tools. I'm just going to pick that Cloud Plus tool I was showing earlier, which is really useful, and say how far does the handrail extend past the landing. So along with placing this comment, once it is placed here on the document, I just click this blue X, and it gets replaced with an orb. So I can continue searching around, but if at any time I needed to see that markup, I can go ahead, click on the little blue orb there, and now you'll see I'm jumped back in to see that comment on the PDF. Now, in addition to being able to comment on PDFs, we can save a variety of views. So we can, for example, come through and show a cross-section, or even better, we can do section boxes. I know there's some software out there that for a pretty penny will allow you to do a section box. Section boxes are included in Revu for the cost of the software, so real easy to section off information. We also have what's called a 3D model tree. And this stores all of the model information that comes over, so we can pick different parts, we can see details on those parts, and if there's any additional information on them, and let me see if I've got any parts. So for example, like this bird ceiling has additional information that would all show up in the properties panel. Okay, so we get a lot of information related to our 3D PDFs. We can save as many views as we want. We can cycle through those views, and we can move parts around. So I can go ahead and come back into our default view, maybe turn off that section box, and now I can select parts and, for example, move them around. And we can move them around, save views, and animate the construction process. So for those of you who are doing virtual design and construction, you want to animate the order in which things are going to get built, you can actually turn them off in a view, or you can move them out of the picture in a view, and then save that view, and then maybe save the next view where you've added in additional parts. You've moved, for example, the building crane down to a different section of the building site, and saved a new view with those new steps in the construction process. So a lot of great options there in 3D PDFs, and best of all, 3D PDFs don't have to be a standalone document. So let's say you've got an RFI on that stairwell access. I'm just going to open up RFI 100 again. Provide stair dimensions on the attached sketch. Here's the sketch. If, for example, you wanted to actually add in 3D information to better communicate that on the page, you can come in with that 3D editor and actually drop just a U3D or UFC file right in, or IFC file right in there. So I believe I have a U3D of that stair handrail. I'll make that background blue so it's easy to see, and just drop it right into this RFI. So real easy to get 3D information exactly where you need it to be. Great question.
Yes, Meredith, is this for both Revu and Studio?
Yeah, so 3D PDFs work both locally on your computer with Revu as well as up in the Studio Cloud. So you can upload your 3D PDFs into the cloud and use them there as well.
Awesome. Wow. We are really big fans of Revu and Novedge, and wow, never again without. That's what I will tell everybody. Thank you so much. These were all the questions, and also, you know, Eric did a great job addressing some of them directly. I will have to take the screen back. Thank you again, Meredith, for really a dynamic presentation. I was riveted, and I'm going to thank everybody for attending our Novedge webinar. And also, if you want to get your hands on Bluebeam Revu, come on over to Novedge. This is, you know, where you can find it. We have great prices. And Novedge is the best way to buy design software online. What can I say? For information on the latest special and new releases, also join Novedge on Facebook, Twitter, and subscribe to the Novedge blog. And don't forget, next week's webinar is about Thinking Particle 6.2. Powerful gas, smoke, and compressible fluids effects. To rewatch today's webinar or previous ones, check out our Novedge YouTube and Vimeo channels. Our webinar playlist as webinars for every software taste. Thanks again, everybody, for joining, and thank you, Meredith. Thank you, Eric. This was fantastic, and looking forward to work with you again. Goodbye, everybody.
Sounds good. Thank you so much.
Bye-bye.